What's up guys, this is PSP. Today I'm going to show you how to host a website in local IIS on Windows. The steps are going to be same for Windows 7, 8 as well as for Windows 10. So let's get started. If you didn't install IIS already, then go to Control Panel, select Programs and Features, then select Turn Windows Feature on or off. Now expand Internet Information Service and its sub-options. And make sure the following options are selected for the better development as well as debugging experience. Here, ASP and ASP.NET 3.5 are not selected, just because I will not be using those versions for development. But make sure to select those if you are working with classic ASP or ASP.NET 3.5. Don't worry if you couldn't find ASP.NET 4.7 in your system. Just because I installed the latest version of .NET Framework, I have those options here. In such cases, you can select any version which is available above ASP.NET 3.5. ASP and ASP.NET are required only if you are going to host a dynamic website which is built using .NET Framework, and not required for the static pages like plain HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now click OK and wait until the installation process is complete. This may take a while, depends upon your PC configuration. To check whether IIS is installed correctly, open the web browser. I will be using Google Chrome for this demo. Type localhost:80 or 127.0.0.1:80. It's not mandatory to type the port number because that's going to be the default port for the IIS. If you could see this page, that means IIS is configured correctly. The first thing we need to host a website is a website. For now, I will be creating a single page which represents the whole website. So here is that single page called index.html which is going to represent the entire website. This file contains few lines of HTML and CSS which is going to display the text at the center of the page. Let me show you that. I am going to place this file inside my directory called server, under which localhost, and I will create a folder called Mr. Bug here, and then I will paste the index file. You can keep anywhere wherever you wish to keep, but make sure you will remember the path because which will be required to configure the site path in IIS. Since we already installed IIS, I will press Windows key and type IIS as a shortcut to reach IIS. Now click Expand. Since I installed IIS long back, I do have few sites in it. To create a new website, right click on the sites and select Add Website. And point to the physical path of the folder where we kept the index file, that is server localhost Mr. Bug. If you are still thinking, why did we specifically call our file as index.html? Because IIS is configured to search for the file name index.html or default.html as default page for the websites. But in case of ASP.NET application, it can be even index.aspx or default.aspx. This can be changed if you want by going to the IIS options default document which is present at the IIS console. As we saw earlier in this video, IIS default page is running at port number 80. So I have to change the port number for this. But before changing, let's see what will happen if you try to use the same port. Let's click OK. Oops, I think IIS didn't like that. So let's change the port to 1234. Which is easy to remember. Now click OK. Then click Browse. That's nice, it's working. But what about if you have many websites? Then it will be difficult to remember the port number for all of them. It will be better if you could have name as a normal website. That will be pretty easy to remember. So let's try that. Again, we need a web page which can represent the whole website. I'm going to copy the previous index page and then change the text inside into mrbug.localhost.com. Let's place this inside a folder called mrbug.com just for the sake of differentiating the files. Now go back to IIS and right click on the sites and select add website just like we did before. This time I will name my website as mrbug.com again just for the sake of keeping it separate. By the way, we can't have two sites with the same name in IIS. Select the physical path as a new directory where we store the new index file. This time I am going to leave the port as 8087 and going to provide a host name. My host name is going to be www.mrbug.localhost.com. You can even avoid www and use only mrbug.localhost.com, but make sure you will stick to one approach. One thing to remember while naming is that trying to use a postfix to the website name while you are hosting the website in local IIS, which will prevent you from losing access to the websites in the internet whose name is similar to your local websites. What I mean by this is, suppose if you create a local website called www.google.com, then you will no longer able to access www.google.com other than the one you created in your local IIS. I prefer localhost as a postfix. That will also remind me that the site is running in my local IIS. Or even sometime I do add one prefix like dev, that is development, to differentiate my project under development and one which is already completed. Now click OK and try to browse. Browser couldn't load our site. To get this up and running, we need to do one more thing. Just go to Windows. Currently that's in my C drive. System32, drivers, etc. and select the host file and open this in Notepad. I'll be using Notepad++ to open this. Make sure you will run Notepad++ as administrator. Here we should add a mapping entry that maps IIS as well as our site name. We'll save this and refresh the page. We got the page. Thanks guys. Let me know if you have any doubts in the comment section below.